Hello and welcome to Chakontas on Friday. I'm Mr. Chakonta and this is my co-host.
This is Chakonta.
And yeah, this is a new podcast that we'll be releasing on Friday. Just talking about life, our experiences, and everything in between.
So sit back and enjoy the journey.
Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Fridays with the Chakontas, right?
Yes, we're still trying to get used to the name.
Yeah, and I've got my co-host back. So yeah, how are you?
I'm fine.
How was your holiday?
Wonderful.
Did you want to come back?
Not at all.
So you made the business suffer because of your holiday.
Sometimes in life you just need a break. You just need space and air.
And you feel like the space helped you?
Yeah, definitely.
So you're now back to work?
No.
The energy is back?
No.
But you're back for the podcast?
I'm back by force.
Okay, so we can at least do the podcast for this one?
Of course.
Okay, let's do that.
That rhymes.
So yeah, today on episode 2, in fact, we're just gonna put it out there because we just saw a trailer of one of our favorite movies.
Yeah.
We liked the Black Panther movie.
Yes.
Now when we saw season number 2, what's it called? The sequel,
Trailer?
Yeah? The trailer of the sequel, which is coming out, Wakanda Forever. And we enjoyed it, yeah?
Yeah, we just started talking about it. And we're looking for a topic.
Yeah.
This could be a topic. Why don't we just discuss it?
Yeah.
Whatever it is that we're discussing on the couch, why don't we bring it to the podcast?
Yeah, so yeah, what did you think about the trailer?
Loved it. I don't know, there's so many
Okay, but
emotions,
before, sorry. Did you first see the first one?
No, I didn't.
What did you think
until
of?
you showed me.
What did you think of the first trailer, the teaser, where the no woman no cry issue?
I think. Well, the thing is, I didn't really have much time to digest it because I didn't even realize there was a teaser until you showed it to me like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to. There is a difference. It's really hard to compare.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the teaser was a bit more calm and emotional, but I don't know, for some reason I feel like this one, the new one, has brought out more emotions, like different types of emotions out of me compared to the teaser.
Okay, I think when I first saw the teaser, I think a lot of emotions, especially like knowing that Chadwick won't be in this one. And like the teaser was like inviting people to come and like, let's grieve this situation of Chadwick is no longer going to be part of this. And like, this is now an emotional movie.
Yeah.
And it's like we're going to an aspect of Chadwick's funeral, something like that.
Yeah.
That's why like even like the no woman, no cry. And then it's like empowering these women and they're trying to figure out what to now do with the nation with their king now gone. So it was emotional. Yeah. Very emotional. And when you see the comments and everybody just talking about it, you're just like, okay, this is going to be really powerful.
Yeah.
And also just the demeanor was not like when the first one came, everybody was like, yeah. But now it's like this one is like everybody's like, this is emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I thought about it.
Okay.
And you know what? When you look at certain things like this, it basically now shows us just in life, the way things are. It's like you have those highs and you have those lows. So like this demeanor of highs and lows between the first movie and now this second movie just shows us just the reality of life.
Yeah.
You never have a perfect smooth, you're always on the high. You always have to be on the low to basically maybe appreciate the high, or even maybe sometimes when you're on the high, it maybe makes you not appreciate the people who are on a low. So it balances out and you can learn certain things on both situations, and this is just the way life is.
I get you. So just to clarify, you said when you're on a high, it makes you not appreciate the people on the low, or what?
It just basically, it makes you not understand that life needs to balance itself out.
Or like sometimes if you're on a high, you might not realize that you need to have the low.
The low sometimes it makes you feel like maybe you always be there on the high, but that's just not life.
Okay.
And it gives you this perspective of life as everything will go this way, plain smoothing. And I think maybe that's what like a fairy tale will always tell you.
Yeah.
And they live happily ever after. But then it's like there are not those nuances of they live happily ever after, but the wife wants to kill the husband because he did something that was wrong. You get me, yeah?
Yeah.
So, and that's just not, it's not portraying real life.
Yeah.
And even when we see it, even in scripture does not portray that every time we're going to have good times. Actually, scripture even prepares us for even the hard times more, to actually say hard times will come.
Yeah.
But this is how you deal with the hard times. So that even when we're going through good times, we're not just saying, oh, we are so immersed in the good times, feeling like we've arrived.
Yeah.
But the arrival is when we are with Christ.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So that's how it was. It's like those emotions. I'm just talking about the emotions, of the first one where like everybody was on a high and saying, oh, this is black excellence, blah, blah, blah. But now it's like the king has died. Now, how do we respond towards that? So that was one of the things that I think that trailer embodied and helped us just understand, okay, this is what we're going to be open to.
Yeah.
So Okay. Anything else you want to add on that part?
No, I mean I'm with you, because like it's, it sparked a conversation in us, because I hadn't seen the initial teaser until you showed it to me 10 minutes ago. So because we were talking about the new one and thinking, okay, and you were saying, oh, there were some talks about their thoughts on what they should do with the character, whether they should continue with the path of saying that he died or recast. And I was like, I'm so glad that, because I hadn't seen the writings or people's comments about that. So I was like, wow, I'm so glad that they hadn't recast his character, because watching this, this trailer, it's like, as I said, I have so many emotions. I have emotions of joy, excitement, and I'm filled with sadness. And I know that, Chadwick wasn't my relative, but, because of Black Panther, because of, the movement, because of what he spoke for, because of what he's done, it's almost like, you feel like you know him. You feel like you know him as a character. Obviously, I don't know him fully as the person that he is outside of that character. But I was saying to you, like, I felt like I've been invited to partake in his funeral. And it's almost like a form of closure for some people. I won't say for some people, but for me, when someone that I love has died, it's quite, it's difficult when, let's say, they tell you someone's died that you're close to and you haven't been to the funeral. I feel like for the people who've been close to me in my life, that I have attended a funeral, and gone all the way to for me, they've been in Zambia, and I've flown all the way there, been there and attended the funeral. Like, I've really, like, that closure without realizing that's been something that I've needed to kind of process the whole thing. And I was just saying, like, I feel like I have been invited in the movie, when you can clearly see that they're showing that he's died, that I've been invited to partake in the funeral, which I quite appreciate. I don't know how it would have felt if they'd recast him. And I feel like it would have also taken away the aspect of reality, like you said. Like, it's like we really are, because we all know what's happened. This is the main character, and then you've just put somebody new. It would have really taken away the reality of life. And also, I feel like it would have also taken away the focus. I feel like I'd have been busy watching it and thinking, I think, he would, Chadwick couldn't have done this, or I don't know if they've really done this justice by I feel like we would have done a lot of comparison. There would have been a lot of writing focusing on this new character. And I think it would have been really hard for that new actor coming in, trying to replace that. No matter how good he would have been, I think that would have been a lot of pressure to put on him.
Yeah. It's interesting. because I think that's just true, to be honest. I think the recasting was maybe too early.
Yeah.
Too early for us this. And I think, you know what? The next question I'll have is like, so how do we, especially coming from us in a Christian household, how do we now take a fictional movie and apply it to just our daily life and trying to say like, okay, how can we appreciate just the events of what's going on? How can we do that?
I'm not sure. Do you want to give me a bit of an example so I know where you're...
I think one of the things is like, let's say, the aspect of death and grief is a reality.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things about movies is we tend to, the person died and then we just move on. But now it's like one of these things when you actually go through a death of a loved one, you have to have that process of actually grieving to the point of where you are comfortable to actually say, you know what, I've gone through the process and I'm now okay. And maybe I can now take the next step of how do I memorize their legacy? How do I give value towards their legacy and what they've done on this earth? And how can I celebrate them? And how can I celebrate them with the angle of what they've done, one, but not also just be grieving with the sense of not hopelessness, but actually understanding, no, they're actually in a better place. Yeah. And they're with Christ, which is even a far much better reality. Yeah. Because for us, we will never fully comprehend it on this side of glory. No. And we'll never fully understand it. So like maybe even like when we see like people actually grieving, it's like we're grieving with the reality of, one, we are missing those loved ones. Yes. But also on the other side, we don't fully comprehend it because we're just in a sinful body that cannot really understand the reality of heaven. Yeah. And I think maybe this is a conversation that can come also from this movie, especially for the believer, and trying to understand like, look, there is going to be a time if Christ doesn't come back, we're all going to test that. We're going to either test death, but in the aspect of death, there's also going to be another situation of how are we compassionate with people who are grieving those situations. And I feel like sometimes we forget that people have to go through that process. Yeah. And I think maybe that movie will probably help us invite people. And maybe especially like even through this process of COVID, a lot of people have lost loved ones. Yes. Maybe to also like give them just an open opportunity, like let's grieve together about a situation. Yeah. And I just hope that I hope it wouldn't be a movie to do that. I hope it's just that we fully understand each other and have an impression of that, like the way we came together with the aspect of, look, there's a pandemic, let's close down. Yeah. And then also when we come out, okay, let's grieve together and actually think about the people who lost their lives in this situation. I don't think we've done that publicly to actually acknowledge that people actually lost loved ones. Do you think you get what I mean?
Absolutely. I think that's so much, like I haven't thought about it like that, but that speaks volumes. So I'm just like, I'm in total agreement with you. I feel like you're right on so many levels. I don't think we've all publicly, death is not something that it's something that, like you say, something that sometimes you experience privately, but the pandemic meant that it was something that, although we were experiencing in it privately, it was more public. But then I still agree with you. I feel like we did grieve private. It felt like we grieved privately. I don't know. I don't know what others would say, but I personally, I guess it's easier when you talk about yourself. I personally feel like I grieved privately, as in myself and my family, but not really. But considering the fact that all of us were affected some way or another, I'm with you. I think this could be one of those movies where we see death for what it is, and we experience the emotions that it brings. I'm not sure what the rest of the movie will entail. Probably it will start with recognizing the death, and then afterwards, I'm not sure what the rest of the movie will bring out. But yeah, I think it is one of the movies to, and it's, you know, if you think about the last movie, the Black Panther, it's something that was talked about globally, you know, and something that was celebrated globally. So perhaps this element in the movie is something that we can all grieve together. Like you said, for Chadwick, as well as maybe, you know, without realizing it, we might be grieving for all the other things that we've experienced in the last few years.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Yeah. What about the second trailer? What do you think about it?
Oh, the second trailer.
Yeah.
All right, so we've gone from a bit more somber to, okay, so the second trailer, I love it. Like, but now this is why I say, like, you know, you're filled with so many emotions. You go from high to low. You realize, and it's so true, like you're saying, that's life. You know, in one trailer, it gives you everything. I feel like I was on a high and I was on a low at the same time. And as you can see, even in my voice, you're asking me, and I'm thinking about the music. Like, now you're asking me the thing that about the second trailer that you've made me go to, that's put me on a high, is the music.
Yeah, okay.
So
what's special about the music?
What's special about the music? I mean, hearing someone on, you know, in Wakanda Forever, just hearing my language being spoken, a Zambian artist or Zambian artists, I'm like, I wish you could see my facial expression right now. Like, my mouth is just like, oh my goodness, like, this is crazy. This is amazing. It's just exciting because I'm Zambian. I love Zambia. I do enjoy Zambian music. So, and even if you take away the music from the trailer, this trailer is something that would have excited me.
Yeah.
So now imagine, on that excitement, you now decide to put Zambian music on it.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
So I don't know, like, there's so much to say, but that's how I feel. So and in terms of the trailer, I've got so many mixed emotions. I am sad. But when I think about the music, it fills me with so much joy. Yeah. I feel like this is how parents feel. I'm not a parent yet, but like, this is how parents feel when they say they feel proud. I feel so proud.
Yeah. And I think, to be honest, do you think like it's like has validated like maybe something about like us Zambians, especially because, you know what, us as Zambians, sometimes we always feel like we don't get, I don't know, maybe we don't get we don't get appreciated as much as we need to be. Even sometimes we don't even appreciate ourselves. And then when we see something like, oh, and then you hear like, you hear Chef 187 basically speaking in Bemba. I'm just like, oh my days, this is real.
Yeah.
This is real. And then you're like, Sampa The Great, oh my days. And then when you actually even see like, oh, it was just really good. It was really good to experience that and make you proud to be Zambian.
Yeah.
And I sometimes also now, like, it also makes me feel like, you know, when you see your Nigerian friends bumping their what's that called, Afro beats.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, I wish I could have something like that, where like everybody's so proud to be basically Nigerian, Ghanaian, and everything like that. And then you're like, you've got the South Africans playing their amapianos and everything like that. You're just like, oh, I want my Kalindula or something like that. And then you just like, okay, and then you just you see that on a big film like that. I'm just like, wow. That's amazing.
It's honest. It's amazing. Like, I'm with you in sense of, we have great music, we have great musicians, we have great artists. We are great on so many levels. I was thinking when you say we are great, like Sampa The Great, but we are great on so many levels. And I feel like you're right. I feel like sometimes we don't appreciate ourselves enough. And then one thing that I've, been brought up in the having been brought up in the UK or spent a lot of my life in the UK, you're right. Like, a lot of, whenever you put African songs or Afrobeats, it's always associated with Nigeria or Ghanaian, but a lot of the time it's Nigerian or Congolese. Like those were all South African. So those used to be the kind of music that, if you say African, like, would play a lot more of than Zambian music. But I've always had you know, my passion for my home, like my passion for Zambia. So I've always had my private time at home with my Zambian music up until now. So, and I love the fact that our music is so unique as well. And whenever I start to see our music, or, you know, maybe some artists maybe changing it a little bit to make it sound a little bit more like Nigerian, or something that's a little bit more common, like I could always see it or sense it, and I'm like, no, like we have something that's unique and that's independent and that's Zambian and that's us, you know, and I love that, and I love that so much. And the other thing that I appreciated it more is, like, whenever I traveled to Zambia, on the radio station they will be playing our music, like over 70% of the time they would be playing our music. It would always be, that's where I would find that, you know, when I go for that summer, there would always be a song or two that will be played more frequently on the radio. And whenever I come home or I'm on the plane ride back and I start listening to that song, now I'll be crying, wanting to go back home. But I always loved that. Although I found that more recently when I've traveled, that's reduced a little bit. I know that's not the topic, but that's reduced a little bit, where it's not as much of our songs. Like, you know, before, let's say I would give a rough idea of 90%. Now maybe it's 70%. So it's fine. You know, in life you broaden out, you play more songs, but I really do love our songs, the authenticity of our songs, like the originality of our songs. And our artists do a really great job at doing that. And I hope that this will, you know, like encourage people to be unique. And I think that is what Sampa the Great does. Like, her songs are unique. Now, I don't know her very well, and I don't know a lot of her music. I won't even tell you when I first heard of her, because you'll just be like, oh my goodness, are you Zambian? But one thing I do like when I heard her do that interview on the Z podcast was how unique she was. And I was like, that is what I love, because you're not trying to be like anybody else. You're not trying to be like what everybody else seems to want to listen to. You're bringing to the people what you are gifted to do and what you're good at, and it is good, and someone will recognize you for that.
Yeah. And you know what? I think sometimes maybe we've talked like the artist who did that music was Sampa the Great. But I think one of the things that we also saw through that Z podcast thingy was, for her, the way she talks, she always wants to say, look, she talks as a team. And you saw the team that was behind the whole thing. And one of the things that I appreciated was these guys are actually Christian artists in Zambia, like Mag 44. I don't know what Tio is at the moment, but he started more of a Christian, from a Christian background. And then there were the movement from the Lota House and everything like that. So that was really something that I appreciated. And you're saying, you know what, like sometimes we do forget that even us as Christians can make a big impact in something, maybe in a worldly thing. And we can still be excellent. And we can bring godly excellence by just doing the best that we can. And you hear that production in that music, the way that music was produced. We just say, okay, this is just one of Z excellence. And when we can appreciate that, and then on top of that, you also go back to the fact of these guys are actually living out and saying they're believers. It actually now goes to a conversation where we can actually say, like, look, as believers, we actually have something to bring. It may not be that we're just Zambians, but even just as believers, wherever we go, God is calling us to be excellent. And excellence sometimes may even open doors for us to even share the gospel. And watch this. And I think even what you were saying before, it also, like, seeing Zambian music being played on such a platform like that, it now takes us back to the angle of the church. And saying, like, you know what, in the church there are many members that come together to make one body. And maybe we might be in our sense, maybe we might be the foot in the Zambia, in the music of Africa, but it's still significant.
Very.
And we need to appreciate that food. And for us who are part of that food, we're just like, yeah, we're going to use that food to the best of our ability to make this thing work to the best of its ability.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we can also take from that and saying, you know what, our Zambianness is something that is unique. And we can celebrate it. And even when we come to the point of where when God comes to take his waiting people home, there will be a people of different tribes.
Yes.
God does not run away from the fact that he's taking a people from all the nations. And Zambia will be part of it. So let's celebrate the fact that we are Zambian and we are believers.
Yeah.
And we have something to bring. So yeah. I think that's what I was trying to also capture from the whole situation, and trying to be proud, but also be proud in the sense of it takes you to the sense of looking at it from a biblical perspective. Yeah. I don't know if you want to add on that part.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I very much agree, and I like how you've explained it from a biblical perspective, and it's a proud moment. And I love how we as Zambians have also celebrated it. As I was saying to you, I was like, that's one of our attitudes, which I love as Zambians. Like when I see on Facebook or my fellow Zambians on WhatsApp, we celebrate each other a lot. And yes, I know it's not everybody. There's always somebody who says something negative. There's always somebody, and that's just the reality of life. But overall, I see a lot more positives. I see a lot of people celebrating the team who made that song. I see a lot, and it's just wonderful. And I was saying to you, like, I saw the same attitude when Esther Chungo, I was going to say Esther Chungo. It's Chungo, right?
Yeah.
Also went to perform in America. And everybody was just so happy. Everybody was just celebrating. You could see on their statuses, and people were posting their videos. It's just such a nice community. And I'm proud to be Zambian. I love that element of us, where we can celebrate one another and be happy for one another, and be proud. And literally, we're there on our statuses. Like, Sampa doesn't know who I am, but I'm there like, well done, sister, thank you. But it's great, and I'm happy. She'll never know who I am. She may never know who I am. Nothing is never. I may never meet her, but I am still 100% proud. Or the team who've produced the song. Anything, like, I'm just like, I'm glad. I am so proud, and I'm so proud that there's a lot of people who are also happy and proud out there.
Okay. So what do you think we can learn from it? Especially from like a biblical context. Like, like sometimes where we see, like, even us as believers, we'll go through a lot of challenges where we see our fellow brothers and sisters thriving. And then it comes to a level of like, maybe we want that. And instead of basically celebrating and saying, you know what, I'm happy for them. I'm basically glad that when they're rejoicing, let's rejoice with them.
Yes.
And even when we're mourning, let's mourn together. Do you think that's an attitude that we struggle with as believers?
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, it's easier, I think, sometimes in situations to be proud and happy for somebody when that's not what you want. So it might be so easy for me to say, I'm so 100% happy about this production, this movie, and I'm just so happy to be Zambian. I'm so proud and be, all of these things that I have said. It might be easier for me to say that because, one, I don't want to be an actress. Two, I don't want to be a rapper. I don't want to be a singer. I don't want to be a music artist. That's not an area in my life that I feel called to be. So it's not hard for, like, I don't envy that. So it's easy for me to just see it, be proud and be glad. But what if I was an artist? What if I was an aspiring artist? What if I was somebody that had also written to the producers of Wakanda Forever and said, please, can you use my music? And they've said, clearly they've not used my music, and they've said no. How would I feel? Or what if, I don't, maybe I worked with Sampa in the past, and maybe we parted ways, and then now I'm start thinking, oh, maybe if I just continued, or maybe I'd worked with the producers or something. You know, there's so many ways that your mind can start playing on, your thoughts, and your mind can start playing up and make you feel inadequate in one way, feel jealous, want what other people have. And I think as a Christian, it's easy for me to say, like now, as I'm saying, it's easy for me to say it because it's not what I want. But if it was something that I wanted, I would definitely say I would be struggling right now, and I'll be busy saying, Lord, please help me, because this is hard. I might be crying, I might be heartbroken, I might be saying I'm happy for my friend, but like,
when is it gonna happen for me?
Exactly. Like, when is it my turn? I've been trying, I've worked hard, I've even worked harder than her, or maybe things like that. You start comparing, you start thinking, oh Lord, but I have a better voice, I have more followers, I have been to sing for the president, but I could have gotten this gig. You start to think so many things. One, pride. You start to think you're better. Maybe you just know that maybe you could have also done it, and you're asking God, or maybe you're just saying, God, I know this is not my core, but maybe you something else like this can be mine. As believers, we do struggle, and I don't think it's just a believer thing. As people, we do struggle with that. And I think it's recognizing that you are being jealous, recognizing that you are struggling. And I think when you're able to recognize that, it's a bit easier to deal with it, because then you can ask God and you can pray and say, God, please help me. And you can talk to your friends and say, this is how I'm feeling, friend. I wish it was me, and just be honest. Or, I come and speak to you as my husband and just say, look, dude, this is how I feel, babe. But then you can encourage me and just encourage me in what you say to me. And so we can encourage one another. It's definitely easier said than done, and I don't think it's an easy thing. And I don't think it's something that you can just get over in a second. Yeah. It might be something that takes time.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that. And it's really hard. And I think one of the things is it just shows how, even though you're a Christian, sometimes it's like you're still wrestling with sin.
Yeah.
And like sin fleshes itself out, especially when you least expect it. And especially when you think, okay, why am I feeling this way about my brother who's having all this success, or my sister who's having all this success? And it's like the Bible tells us not to covet, but our heart is yearning for that. And it shows us that there is going to be a level of brokenness, and there's a level of where we have to constantly fight on a daily basis to basically suppress those things and hold on to the fact that, you know what, in Christ we are all one. And there will be a time where we will not be jealous of our brothers and sisters. We will celebrate all wholeheartedly, and we'll come to a point of where, when we're in glory, we'll be with the Lord Jesus Christ, and everybody will just be celebrating that we've come to this position of being in the presence of our Savior forever. And I think that is the main thing, especially for us as believers. And I think sometimes it's like we need to also try to do it as best as we can on this earth. We won't do it perfectly, but whenever we read the scriptures, let us be people who are celebrating our brothers and sisters. Celebrating them in aspects of where we say, oh, they're doing well. And celebrate them and basically champion them. And basically come to a point of where we are glad that they're doing these things. But we see, in fact, sometimes it's even sad when we actually see non-believers doing that, where we're seeing they're not being jealous. They actually say, if they're seeing their brothers succeeding, it's like, oh, that's motivation for me to basically work hard. But for us, it's like, we have this aspect of a complex of where we're like, God, I want that too. Why haven't you given me that? And it's sad that we feel that way. And you know what? Well, I'm not going to exempt myself. I also feel sometimes like that. And I have to fight it. And I think maybe this is also another conversation where we can have and say, we need to do that. We need to learn how to celebrate each other. And we've seen, like, through this this thing where like people are just like so happy for Sampa, so happy for Mark 44, Tio. I've forgotten the other lady who's part of the singing crew. I'm sorry. We'll remember you and everything like that. But you guys did a really good job. And us as Zambians, we want to celebrate you.
Yes.
We want to say you guys did a good job. We're proud to be Zambians. And we're proud that you guys have done some great art that has now featured in such a big movie. Even the trailer is playing and we are like, we can hear that Bemba flow, and we're basically like, that's us.
Yes.
That's us. So yeah, we're happy. So on this Friday with the Chakontas, we just want to celebrate Sampa the Great and our team for actually doing something that's great. Anything else you want to add?
No. You've said it all, honestly. You've said it all.
And what about encouraging people to go watch the movie? Watch the first one first. If you haven't watched it, and then if you want to watch the second one, watch the second one. Yeah, what do you want to say?
What did you say? I was just trying to get the other
ones was I know Chef is the one who basically like that's his flow.
Okay.
And then there's another one. There's another lady. I've forgotten her.
Yeah. I thought it was 4, but okay.
There's a lady, like the one who's like on the chorus with Sampa and them.
Oh, okay.
I've forgotten her name. Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, until next time, I hope you guys enjoy our comeback. Somebody is back from holiday.
I'm back from Zambia.
And we just wanted to share this thing of our excitement about Wakanda Forever. We're going to watch it. We don't know how we're going to watch it though. I want to watch it in the cinema. You want to watch? We'll wait for the DVD. Yeah.
DVD? Do they even do DVDs these days, babe?
Okay. What are you waiting for?
I don't know. I don't.
When it comes on Disney Plus.
Is it even gonna come on Disney Plus?
I think so.
That would take forever. The thing is, I want to go watch it in the cinemas, but there's gonna be so many people.
No, I think for this one we have to basically go.
Yeah, we do.
And support the local team.
Absolutely, we do. What I'll do is I'll pick like a time. No, this one you can't even. I'll pick a time where not many people will be there. They'll be there the whole month. Mm-hmm. It will be fully packed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just obsessed with being where there's so many people. But it's okay. I shall wear a mask.
Okay. All right. No, so thank you for taking your time to listen to us. I think this one is a bit long. But if you've come to this point, thank you.
Yeah.
I know, we don't want to keep you for too long, but yeah, thank you for joining us on Fridays with the Chakontas. Until next time, bye.